Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam, and in today's video, we are going to design a game concept in 5 minutes or less. If you're new to the channel, we like to pull up our helpful tool of the game generating tool, or game idea generator, and this can be found at letsmakeagame.net. And what it will provide for us is a genre, rule, setting, and theme for us to design around. And so what will happen is after we click the generate button, we will set ourselves a 5-minute timer to see what we come up with. And so without further ado, let's get to it. So we got the genres VR, the rule is magic gone wrong, the setting is modern day, and the theme is lost love. Interesting. All right, so let's set the timer and see what we got. So the timer is running. We'll put our phone off to the side. Magic gone wrong. And lost love. So I like the idea of this being a cooperative couples game where you're trying to make a love potion. And so the initial thought that I have is that I don't know if this will work, but there is basically two people in a lover's quarrel, and they start on the end of each end of this game board. And my thought is that there'd be potentially a few different regions that you want to try and get these two to meet in. And so the idea is that there are a bunch of different spaces for these. I'm gonna thicken the pen stroke really quick, medium, because I like solid lines. But you have these two pawns that you're trying to get to meet, and it's a semi-cooperative in the sense that each person has a goal that they want the two pawns to meet in. So my goal could be we want them to meet within the yellow region. And my partner's goal could be that they need to meet in the 7th space. So there's colored regions, and then there's numbers assigned to each space. And that is their ideal situation, but they will compromise if you can achieve it to be less than 10 or something like that. And this will compromise as long as it's not blue. And the idea is that you'll have this deck of cards that you're playing out at the same time. So each person would draw 5 cards, and you'll both be playing them face down on each end. And it will be a potion that you're going to do simultaneously. And so the potential is I had an idea and kind of lost it. But I think there'd be sort of an action that you get to do. And then on the other side of the card that you play, an action the opponent gets to do. Or I guess your partner. And so the cards that get combined would be the love potions that you're doing. And it would be actions like, set the tokens so that they're 6 spaces away or something like that. And so they would end up here. And then you get to move 1 token to the left 3 spaces or something like that. And so there'd be all these different movement actions that you'd be playing, or um, like shifting the regions for compromise. I'm kind of getting like the vibe of not quite, so almost like either a Fox in the Forest duet style game if you've played that, or a pulling from the ideas of, I've never played Fog of Love, but in the King's Dilemma, you're like each person has a private objective of what they want these tokens to end up at, and so it's adding to that. Instead of just having one specific token that you want within a region, you're trying to link up these two pawns to, end up like being as loved ones. And so it will be, I think the card, that would be interesting. The cards would be like, love can be found if both people, I'll stop that. So I'll finish this thought and then we'll wrap up to where we've ended up and how we would go about getting this idea flushed out and finished. So the first is that each player would be dealt a random card, and this has a, like, you both can win if the top is achieved for both people, but you can win if you can achieve the bottom. And so it will be like two pawns that you're trying to, like, the game will end when the two pawns are met in the middle, or when each player runs out of cards. And I think there would be 12 cards in the game, and so you'd shuffle and deal out 6 to each player, and there would be maybe 15, I don't know, there'd be a bunch of different goal cards, and the 12 cards that you'd be playing as actions for the round, you'll play over the course of 6 rounds, and each person at the same time will be playing a card face down to the center. And then there's no specific turn order that you have to resolve, but once both players have played them down, you'll flip them, and then you'll start like kind of the open table talk of who wants to go first, who wants to do that, and you'll have to make decisions of how to shift these different regions and moving the pawns in hopes of getting the two to meet. And once they meet, the game will end immediately, and you'll reveal your objective cards. And so if you both can achieve the top criteria for you to both win, that's awesome. You've won the game. If they meet and you didn't achieve the top criteria, you'll look at the bottom criteria to see if you can still win that way. And if you both still won that way, your love would be lost, but you both kind of have the moral victory of becoming better people. But the idea is that you realize your differences and find true love and can meet and in the pawns in the middle and both satisfy the top one. Or the third outcome could be one person meets their bottom criteria and the other person doesn't, and that would cause problems. But that's sort of where we got with this game idea. And so to recap, our prompt was VR, which we completely ignored for the setting or genre. So maybe it's a virtual love simulator. The rule is magic gone wrong, so we would make these as, so maybe you both are playing like the role of this virtual godmother trying to get these two lovebirds back together, and so you're concocting magic potions. Those would be the actions of the cards that you'd play, and we kind of followed the Lost Love and modern day theming of it. But it would be a cooperative style game that's played over the course of 6 rounds. On each round, you deal out, or each game you deal out 6 of the love potions to each player, and there might be like a little reference on the potential cards that, or what the 12 cards are. So 1, 2, 3, da da da, and a round consists of each player playing a card face down and then revealing, and then they get to talk through how to manipulate the pawns. And the game will end at the end of the 6 rounds, or as soon as the 2 pawns occupy the same space. And once either of those happen, the players will reveal their end game conditions to see if they've won or not. And so that is the framing of the game that we would build around. And how we would test this is I would end up coming up with 12 cards and figuring out what the UX of this, of if it would be 2 actions that you get to perform and an opponent gets to perform, or it would be a either or statement on each of the cards. And you have to talk out how you want to use both of the love potions. And if there is a split decision, the player who played the card or didn't play the card gets to be the tie break. And so I'd have to make those 12, and I'd have to come up with what all of the different end game conditions would be. So I'd probably come up with another 12 of those. So it'd be a 24 card deck. And we would then have to make a track to test this on. And this would be a game that I'd probably just make out of scrap material and just old recycled printer paper and sleeve it on old playing cards or something like that, because this would be a much more fun game to try and test out in person for like the tabletop discussion of after the cards have been revealed, instead of trying to test it on tabletop simulator or a virtual one. I think the kind of politicking and table talk between the two players would be a lot more worthwhile testing in person than on TTS. And so that would be the last few things that I would need to do to get it to a testable state. And then I'd probably go ask my fiance Michaela. I'd bother her being like, hey, do you mind testing this out with me? And she's always been very cooperative with all of my crazy board gaming stuff. So we would bring it to the table and test it from there. So that's sort of where we ended up with today's prompt. I'd love to hear your comments in the below on what you came up with from this prompt. And if you like videos like this, you can expect one once a week where we come up with a game in 5 minutes or less. Or if you want to watch them in real time, I'm live every Monday through Friday from 8 to 8:30ish, depending on how long the stream takes, for you to watch it there. So I hope you subscribe, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a good one.